Jokes.
Nah, McDohl got like 60% of the way there. Who has a 100-word summary of all the trouble you guys got into last week?
Did we
actually get in trouble last week?
You get in trouble every week, or I'm not doing my job correctly.
Was last week
did
the
you
week
guys-
that you had to walk on coals?
No,
Lucius did absolutely nothing wrong, and everything was fine. And
that's right. Yeah, Lucius
happily
got
ever
involved.
after.
Right? No, we don't know about that though, so it's fine. That woman is perfectly fine. She's on that farm now.
Oh, that's right.
I remember that. That was a good time.
Yeah, that was.
That was
great.
good times.
That's the only thing that happened.
So Lucius,
I can't wait till I can't wait till he gets you assholes. He's going to.
What question did was last week the roaches?
Last week
Yeah,
we
so-
discovered it was the roaches, and we discovered that there's a cave that at low tide we can get into, and at high tide is completely covered.
Flooded.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Oh,
figured
also-
out that this the flying pig has a lot of fingers and a lot of pies.
Also, we tried to sandbag the Ponce, but Brick Road didn't let us.
I mean, we kind of did.
We gave him a decent amount of info. I think we were pretty reasonable.
I think it's very important for our viewers at home that we be absolutely clear about what Lucius did. In the,
Okay, we're gonna dwell on
in the
this
cause
again, huh?
of essentially committing corporate espionage,
Yep.
there was a certain kind of woman that Lucius got arrested. Do you remember what kind of woman it was, McDohl?
Not really. No.
I mean, was she tall? Was she pregnant?
Was she
Wearing,
innocent?
Pregnant.
McDohl, did you get a pregnant woman arrested?
Possibly. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to check.
He's like, no, pregnant first, or arrested first, then I impregnate them.
No. No, absolutely not. Not even a little bit.
See, like,
He tricked a
Warlocks.
woman into giving him a key, and then when the police showed up, he denied it, and they
Yep.
arrested her.
Yep, that's what happened.
And we will never see that NPC again.
until
Oh, so there's no consequences.
Yeah. no consequences.
Is that is that the
I'm
takeaway
sure-
from this?
I mean that's
That's not my takeaway from it, but
I'm sure Brick Road has a name for her now. Maybe even a stat block.
Nope.
she's gonna come
Personal
back. It's just,
history.
She got dragged off to jail, and that's it.
how terrible are these jails?
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad. Oh,
I mean, it's it's like a feudalistic society.
Oh man.
I mean, have you seen The Count of Monte Cristo?
no.
I love that sandwich.
I have no.
That's a good sandwich.
Hey.
Any random dictionary word you say, there's like a 40% chance we will turn it into a conversation about sandwiches. Pretty clear.
getting dying over here.
So the morning of the 19th. Yesterday was
Yeah.
Ponce Day. Nothing else on the
Yep.
calendar coming up. A week from today is the 1st, which is when
Which
all
is
of your
tax day.
guild dues... No, guild dues.
No, it's not tax day. Taxes are every other month on, I think, the 15th.
On the 3rd.
3rd, okay. I don't have the tablet.
But the 1st, you're also getting the rest of your payment from the licensing man.
Yep.
Covering his butt.
You mix the 15th up with actual real tax day.
Did we make any plans for what we're planning to do today before we took our long rest at the end of the day yesterday?
I don't think
As
we
a
actually
party?
made plans there.
Are we going to go into that place basically? Should I be prepping all my stuff as if we're going to go into that place? Sorry.
I
think
believe so.
that's-
I believe that's our
all,
intention.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Give me a minute to rearrange my infusions. Lucius, your armor is no longer magical.
Oh, sad face.
Gus, when you wake up, your armor is missing.
What?
Are we? Is this gonna be a thing?
Gus like busts in, like He just busts. He busted. He's naked. I've been robbed.
See, at least I had the politeness to put on a frickin' dressing gown at the very least.
Destil, how does the magic run out? Is there like a vial that you slot in or something?
When I use another infusion, basically either I can end it by infusing a different item, or it ends after 5 days after I die. In the case of armor, Alex is usually affixing small lead plates with carefully carved runes carved with acid into them, and when the magic runs out, the runes vanish off the lead plates.
Okay, so I respect your choice to sleep in a dressing gown, but Gus sleeps in the buff. All right.
Gus is an old school freeballer.
Right. Like, what Destil doesn't know is, like, my armor and my clothes were kind of like together. So he took the whole bundle, and now I'm just naked. That's my life now.
Nodal, are you gonna sit down at the table at any point?
Oh, I mean, I could if you want. If you want to be able to see my smiling name.
Just your name was Gray, and it's supposed to be like bright, hot pink.
It's here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got my...
I literally just haven't sat down. I was here.
What you're wearing, scale?
I am wearing whatever fighters start with. So yeah. I think so.
Okay, guys.
Chainmail.
Chain. Okay.
Just real quick, if you ever look over at my name and there's metal dice that you can't pick up, those are my rolls.
Your divination dice.
So don't unlock them.
Yeah, that's what I figured they were.
Oh
Yeah.
no, those are some numbers right there.
You know the
they're
great thing
good
about that.
numbers.
You know the great thing about that is he can sub them in for anybody. So that one is amazing.
That one is a future attack roll, I think.
So yeah, Gus, after a few minutes of investigation, you find the same thing happened to your armor that happened to Lucius's 2 days ago. It's sitting on an armor rack in Alex's lab.
Gus like kicks your door down and says, "Alex,
Yeah.
bad, stop!" And he snatches up his stuff and he goes to get dressed.
I have a question.
You're welcome.
And he yells, "Thank you!"
Gus wakes up and his armor is gone. Why is his first thought, "I've been robbed," and not, "Oh, drunk Gus pawned my armor"?
Because drunk Gus knows better. We've had this discussion.
Low tide would be a little bit before dawn. 6 hours from that point would be high tide.
So
Is the plan to go to this place before dawn and sneak in and be in and out of there before 6 hours?
like, okay, question.
Yeah.
Do we know do we know enough about this cave to where does the cave fill up and we drown after 6 hours?
You know nothing about this cave except a halfling would have to squeeze to get inside the entrance.
Oh, well then that means I can't. Does that mean that medium creatures can't fit?
Not without widening the entrance.
I'll go get a pick and dig another hole.
Well, let's investigate the entrance first. So, the other thing I have done is the jug you are carrying is no longer magical, and the fedora that Alexander always wears has a feather in it. However, upon closer inspection, it's not actually a feather. It's a piece of wire with a bunch of fish scales running, like, kind of weaved into it as if they were a feather.
That's ridiculous. Everything about this class is ridiculous.
I think it's just Destil. I think it's just Destil.
I mean, I have to go through the entire equipment UI to change these. This is really annoying.
So your two options, you can go to low tide would be a couple hours before dawn or in the evening are your two options. When you first staked the place out, it was already getting on to evening during low tide, so the next morning would be low tide again. So that's actually, you kind of have 2 points to go down and kind of stake this place out. Get a look at what's going on. In the morning, probably a lot of fishermen would be active. In the evening, the whole village of Broken Wall would probably be awake and active doing things. But barring some magical nonsense, those are your two options.
My vote's to go and at least take a look in the morning if we decide we want to come back in the evening.
Too bad none of you jokers know how reduce.
Second level spell.
I know.
Yeah, it's a little bit beyond right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should go there in the morning with the intention of going in,
Yeah.
and then if we can't figure it out, we come back. But I think we should at least go in the morning.
Yeah, we should go. I think we should at least get a look at the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Morning
Maybe
of
in the hustle
19th,
and bustle we won't be as noticeable.
everybody wakes up well before the ass crack of dawn to make their way across the city to Broken Wall.
Yep.
Everybody's got a potion, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
That is correct.
The cave that you had found was down at the cliffs, about here-ish. And indeed, when you arrive, you do see no small number of fishermen trudging down the various switchbacks and less steep declines down to the water to where their boats are tied up. The cliffs get much steeper the northern you go, so at this point you have a decent chance of not being noticed if you don't want to be. So what's next?
Alex puts on, adjusts his hat and offers to go down and take a look first.
Sure.
I guess Gus is going to go talk to a fisherman and see if he can't borrow a fishing pole.
Well, let me get a look. I have a couple ideas, but I want to get a look at the place first.
Climbing down the cliff. The entrance is very small indeed. You could squeeze yourself through. It might be tricky on your shoulders. It looks like the smallest possible hole that a pudgy little halfling might be able to squeeze through.
Mm-hmm.
But your half-elf and tiefling companions would have no chance unless you cut them up and set their pieces through one at a time and then put them back together on the other side.
Yep.
That's an end of the campaign level operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna climb through. I have dark vision, and I'm gonna. Gus, are you here?
Yeah, I think, aren't we all there?
Okay, I've got 50 feet of rope. I'm gonna tie that around my waist. I'm gonna
I'll tie
hand it to
the-
Gus.
I'll tie the other end to my waist.
I don't see a good reason to leave you alone in there, so
Yeah.
I'll just keep my hand on the rope and come through with you.
So you're going to go 50 feet into the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And it twists and turns back and forth, but it doesn't ever branch off. And after entering, after only about maybe 5 or 6 feet of crawling on your hands and knees, it does widen a little bit. Goes forward, 10 or 20 feet or so, at which point you see an iron but empty sconce in the wall where a torch could be placed. If a torch were lit here, you'd be able to see it from the entrance hole. And as you're
Okay.
moving forward, you're trudging through probably ankle-deep water for you at low tide. And the tunnel turns at this torch sconce and continues deeper and deeper, and eventually you reach the end of your 50 feet of rope.
And everything here has been above water at this point,
It is right now, but it wouldn't be at high tide.
and I haven't seen any branching off areas or ways that might be other entrances.
Correct. Has not branched.
Okay.
The only... the tunnel itself is obviously man-made. This is not a natural cave.
Mm-hmm.
The walls are made of soft stone, and the only other thing that's out of place you've seen has been this torch sconce.
Okay, Seeker, you want to keep going? You want to head back until I'm going to keep going without the rope and I untie it?
Sure, I'll let them know, but then
I'm mostly
back.
looking to see maybe there's a place that with water breathing we can get the larger people in underwater. I'm wondering if there's another tunnel below the water line somewhere.
That sounds like a good plan. Yeah, I'll head back and let them know.
I
but then I'm
won't
coming back
go
after you.
forward more than about let's say 300 feet.
Okay. You do not have to go quite that far. before the tunnel starts to widen and the water starts to deepen a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
In this large chamber. You hear the sounds of running or falling water kind of echoing throughout the cave. These are 5-foot squares. And the whole room, you're not holding a light source, right?
No, I have 120 feet of dark vision.
Okay, then the whole room has water that you'd have to trudge through to get anywhere. Looks like there's an opening off to your left in the north. And other than that, this looks like it might be a large natural chamber of some kind. But even scanning the far walls, you don't see any other torch sconces. You don't see any other markings or any other evidence that this is a man-made place. You do hear the falling and trickling of water echoing throughout.
Is there like a stone or anything around here, just something I could easily pick up and throw?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pick up a stone. I'm going to infuse it as an action with tinkering. That makes it glow. It's not quite light. It's more like a candle. It's 5 feet of bright light and then 5 feet of dim, and I'm going to toss it into the center of the room.
In the center of the room, and it disappears beneath the water. And what's your passive perception?
Probably 10, yep.
Okay. You still see the glow in the water where it landed.
All right, I'll head back.
Yeah, Seeker, after you come back to your companions, are you guys waiting at the top of the cliffs or at the bottom?
Gus would be at the bottom because he had a rope tied to
Yeah.
him.
Okay.
Lucius would be down there with them.
And soon after Seeker returns, a few minutes later, Alex comes back. So you didn't go much further in the cave than your 50 feet of rope allowed you the first time.
Yeah, it opens up. I didn't really want to head in there by myself. It wasn't too deep, but I still didn't find any way to get through aside from this entrance.
How many feet would we need to open up in order to let our larger companions through?
It would be probably a couple hours of work if Gus went at it with an axe and or a pickaxe and a spade.
It'd make a lot of noise.
It would definitely not go unnoticed by the residents of Broken Wall.
Maybe we should look around for another entrance.
I was hoping to find one on the inside, but yeah, that might be a good idea. Let's try maybe searching up and down the cliff a little ways.
Okay. Let me save this table first. Overwrite.
Oh.
That's fine.
Oh no.
Don't worry about that. Yeah, climb it back up to the cliff. It's still a little ways before dawn. But it's only going to take 6 hours for the tide to rise high enough that everywhere that you had been in that cave so far, Alex, would have been underwater.
Mm-hmm.
So after the 5 feet or so after the entrance, it did widen enough that you were able to stand. But Gus would have to do a couple hours of work down there with pick and spade. I'm assuming Gus would be the one doing it.
What about an unseen servant?
Unseen servant is not unheard.
Well, I mean, instead of Gus being the one doing it. By the way, just in case it comes up, the command word to turn on the hat is gargle. I figured I would try and make it useful.
So that's a hell of a command.
Oh, and when I say that, a magical bubble pops around my head, obviously.
How many times
And
can you
disappears
use
again. As much as you want.
A Seeker puts it on and just starts practicing until he can knock it down because he's like, that's ridiculous.
Well, I thought it would be something you'd be able to say if you were drowning.
No, I get it, but I'm going to need to practice that one.
Gargle.
I'm going to say Alex can get that every time. Everybody else can get it on a successful performance check. Because Garble for Lorgle is not a word.
You're right, it's a command word.
It's an utterance.
So, FYI, I did, for one of my two invocations that I took at second level was Devil Sight, so I have normal sight up to 120 feet.
No, you can see in darkness as though it were dim light.
Says you can see normally in darkness, but magical and non-magical do
Yes,
distance.
that's what
120
normally
feet.
in darkness means. Is if you're in darkness, you can see it as though you are in dim light.
Okay,
That's what's...
sure.
I always make sure to specify that because players get that wrong a lot. So dim light means you can't really see detail or colors. It's like being in your house with no lights on.
Okay.
What's next?
All
Yeah, I
right,
want
so
to search up and down the cliff first to see if we can find any other like concealed entrances.
Okay. If you search down far enough to go around this bend down here, you'll start to be noticed by some of the fishermen. And they don't go out very far, maybe 100, 200 feet at the most. Just trawling nets, some of them placing crab traps. In fact, you're having to step around a good number of such traps.
Guys, if we get stopped and asked what we're doing, just say we got hired to chase after some rich person's dog and they went in the hole.
is there one of the two? Because we're gonna go check both north and south. Is one of the two routes more frequented than the other?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
I'm asking because here's my plan, and you can interpret it how you will.
Okay.
Whichever side has like fewer fishermen, I propose that the rest of the party go search that side for an entrance. Meanwhile, the more frequented side, I'll just send my hawk out. It'll just look like a bird flying.
Okay. And
Fair enough.
as you go south towards around the Flumph's Meat Hill here, that's where the largest congregation of fishermen are. They start to thin out again as you get far to the south to where the statue sits as the cliff gets higher and steeper. Let's get a individual investigation check from everybody. Use your hawk stats for this, Seeker.
All right. I have an idea if we don't find another entrance. By the way.
That's an 18 from Gus.
That's a 4.
15 from Alex.
22.
24.
And when you guys are... I'll make a quick note of that. When you guys are inevitably... Maybe stopped is the wrong words, but going through this search, you're going to peek the entrance of various fishermen. Do you have a explanation for what you're looking for, if asked?
Yeah. We got hired to look for some rich twat's dog or pet, and then they went into one of these holes and we're trying to find them.
Make a deception check.
Oh. Can somebody else make the deception check? I'm just giving you the thing.
The idea.
Yeah. Oh no. What is my
No one else
deception?
speaking up. I think you're rolling that die.
I mean, the phrase rich twat kind of made it sound like this was definitely Gustavus.
That is a 5.
5, okay? You get some odd looks, but they don't hinder you as you make your way south. Seeker, you're staying up at the north end,
Yeah.
setting the hawk out. Tony Hawk does not spot any other entrances. In fact, depending on how far out you have him fly this time of the morning before the sun is all the way up, you have some difficulty even seeing the hole that you know about. The rest of you, as you make your way down about here, you get approached by a group of burly fisherwomen. And they want to know what you're all about.
Like, conceptually or just like in the moment?
Are you really going to bullshit this group of fisherwomen at dawn, the day after the grisliest murder Brokenwall has ever seen?
I forgot about the murder. Oh no!
Yeah.
How did you? Okay.
I mean, nobody brought it up during the summary, but that didn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I did. No one heard me. That's fine.
I heard you.
Thanks, Nodal.
Nobody important brought it up during the summary.
That's fair. What is the name of the king that we like? Or that one of the whatever the guy that's running
Percival
that-
Penniless.
Percival
Is that the one you're
Penniless.
thinking of?
That
we
he's
like-
running for.
Do we actually like Percival Penniless? Is that a thing that was
Do we like
decided?
anyone?
Do we like anyone? All right, so Florian is going to ask them, these fishermen, what their opinions are on the candidates who are running to be king.
And they don't
Effort.
appreciate your effort to dodge the question. Apparently, this one, they point at Gus, when asked, told them that he was out in Broken Wall before dawn looking for some rich twat's dog. And now that they've come to clarify this situation, you want to talk politics. One or two of them are cracking their knuckles.
Of course I want to talk. I'm always keen on talking politics. I am always curious about other people's opinions and ideas.
Look, we don't. Nobody needs to hurt anybody else here. We're not. All right. You know what happened yesterday on the hill? We're trying to look in the low tide shallows for any clues about it. We are not working with the moss caps. We think that might be a problem for some people, which is why we're trying to do it before dawn.
Make a persuasion check.
We're detectives.
Make a persuasion check, Alex.
Okay. 3.
3.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble stepping in. Like my brain just is having trouble flipping the switch right now.
Lucius is terrified that one of these women is innocent. He doesn't want anything bad to happen to her.
No, it's.
A lot of you are told that they make it pretty clear that under no circumstances do they trust you poking around in Broken Wall. Moss caps or no. They tell you that they want you to come with them and come before Captain Benjamin. He'll sort this out.
Fair enough.
Like,
All right.
we've got like a limited amount of time here. Can I go? Do you mind if I go start digging while you guys sort this out?
I don't think it's a good idea.
You ask that of them, and it turns out that they mind very much. Seeker, make a stealth check at advantage, because you were far away from the main group this whole time.
All right. That is a 20.
So from wherever you're standing, looking down the cliffs, I mean, you see them get up. You see these this old fisherman kind of come up one of the switchbacks, head off towards one of the houses built against the wall, knock on a couple of doors, rouse a couple of the wives, who go out and confront your friends. And a few moments later, you see they're leading them towards the big shack against the wall. Right there.
All right.
Nobody's noticed you or what you're doing. It's up to you whether you want to remain in your position and keep looking or reveal yourself.
I'm going to head to the Temple of Nimbus.
Okay. This time of morning, she won't be there. It'll be her little acolyte guy.
Is there anyone... I guess Doc?
Might be asleep this time of morning, but you know where his house is.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go knock on his door.
Okay. Those of you taken before Captain Benjamin, it's clear that he's been roused from slumber for this purpose of meeting with you. And have any of you met this man before?
Nope.
No, I don't think so.
Florian?
No.
Okay. You get the sense that this is a man that's not happy at the best of times, and he's particularly not happy about being woken up with troublemakers snooping around their cliffs, harassing their fishermen and whatnot. Captain Benjamin might be the oldest human you've ever seen. This man is a good 90, 100 years old. His whole body is covered in unsightly liver spots, and he's got hair in all the wrong places. He has maybe half of a tooth left. His eyes are glassy. Every movement that he makes looks pained and shaky. But he still speaks with his deep, commanding voice. And Gus, you wanted to be the first to speak when brought before him?
No.
I'd really rather he didn't, but...
No.
He's sitting cross-legged in front of a big cook pot in the center of his room. And the women who've brought you here kind of fade in the background. You hear the door open and close behind you as you're left alone in this just dingy little shack. On the back wall, there's a big stuffed swordfish. And you can't imagine that this man is the boss of anything, just looking at him. And he demands to know what you're up to.
Lucius speaks up and says, "Good morning, sir. Sorry to disturb you and your..."
He says, Is it a good morning? Have we settled that already? From where I sit, it's a bad morning. Bad morning to you.
Well, bad morning to you then, sir.
Why would you wish me to have a bad morning?
I don't think it's a matter of wishing. It looks like you're already having a bad morning.
You could say that again. But don't. Are you going to answer my question at any point? Or are we just going to go around in circles until high tide?
I would rather not go around in circles until high tide.
That makes two of us. So, for the third time, what are you doing here?
My friends and I are... We represent Flumph Inc. We're an investigative body here.
You can't get ink from a Flumph. That's ridiculous.
Lucius takes a breath. Tries again. We're investigating the circumstances of that murder that happened here yesterday.
How do I know you didn't do it?
We were nowhere near the scene when it happened.
Waves his hand. Sketchy bastards, the lot of you. I bet one of you did do it. Which one? Was it you? He points at Florian.
I don't think I can persuade you one way or the other right now.
Gus looks suspiciously at Florian, thinking back to his movements from the previous day.
He looks back to Lucius as well. Your friend says he did it. There it is. Case closed. I'd call the Moss Caps if they weren't useless.
And that's part of the reason why
You're not a
we
very
come here.
smart man, are you?
Florian, shut up.
So, Florian, you interrupted Lucius and told Captain Benjamin that he's not a very smart man.
That is exactly what he said.
Roll initiative.
Got him.
You got it.
This is Lucian hating everybody right now.
Gus is refraining. I don't know if you just meant just
No.
him.
Unless you want to attack the old man, you don't have to roll
no.
initiative. Only Florian needs to roll initiative.
But if I beat Florian in initiative, I'm going to grab him.
Is that... Did you?
I don't think so.
Not from the look of it.
So... Who's at the top here? So Florian...
Yeah.
You tell this man he's not very smart, and he grabs a knotted cane that's laying next to him that looks like it's made out of some kind of twisted coral or some kind of bizarre metal, and he's going to reach out and swat your knuckles with it. But you have the initiative.
Florian just says, not a good idea, old man.
Do you move?
No.
No. Okay. So, I guess Gus, you're next.
I'm
Nothing.
down here.
Alex is next.
Oh, I mean, so what is this? It's a touch attack to grab him?
Yeah.
If I want to stop him from... That's going to be strength or dex?
It's strength athletics.
Oh, that's a 4.
So you're trying to drag Florian out of the way. Florian, are you allowing Alex to do this?
Sure.
Pull me back.
So, Alex.
I'll bring Florian out of the shack and leave the other two in there.
So you're taking him out of the premises entirely. And Captain Benjamin lunges forward with this stick and swings at the spot where a minute ago Florian was standing. Alex, you take him out of the shack where a couple of these fisher wives are still standing. Those of you still in the shack hear a crack from Captain Benjamin's back, and then he groans in pain. And there's a clatter as he drops the cane to the ground and his back arches backwards. And then he just kind of slumps over to the ground, over onto his side. And he's just murmuring something to himself at this point.
And once I have Florian out of there, I'm going to reach into my jacket, pull out my cigarette case, light one, and put it in Florian's mouth. No magic, just calm down. We don't need a fight
Lucius,
with an old man.
What were you saying?
Okay. Lucius goes to help the man up and says, "Listen, friend, we're just trying to find out who did these horrible deeds, and see that they're brought to justice."
How are you trying to help him up? Like, are you reaching down and picking him up, or are you just grabbing his hand and lifting him up, or?
I'm gonna pick him up.
I'm going to stop him. Like,
No.
let me examine him first. There was a loud crack. What if his back is broken?
So the two of you approach Captain Benjamin, and he swats you. He's got holding in the small of his back with one arm, and he's swatting at you viciously with the other arm, so, talking about how he's as spry as either of you were when you were half your age, and if your friend had played fair, he would have got the wrapping of a lifetime across his knuckles.
You know what, Lucius? Go for it. And I just take a
Glad
step.
I have your permission, sir. Whew. Sorry. Okay, it's just I feel like I'm being stepped on a whole time, and it's like
So what are you doing?
Sorry. I'm helping him. Lucius is picking him up and taking him back toward the cook pot.
And the
Set him
whole
back where he
time
was.
you lift him up and you're trying to set him back. I mean, he is using his hand to slap and scratch and kick and holler and carrying on about how he doesn't need your help, how he's certain that your friend is his murderer, and accusing you of all kinds of terrible things. And when you get him sat back down in front of the cookpot, he's just kind of out of breath and glaring at you and just kind of whimpering to himself.
Lucius sits down next to him and says, "Look, friend, we're just trying to find out who did this and see that they're brought to justice. We were nowhere near this. We were nowhere near Broken Wall when these events occurred, but word travels fast."
Make a deception
You
check,
did-
because you were all at Broken Wall last night while these events were going on.
We were here when the actual murder took place?
No, but you were here during the active investigation. Some of you snuck over the wall, one of you snuck right through the broken wall. All of you tried to sneak through.
That's a 9.
9?
Fuck's
Woo, level 2.
He grimaces his face up and sneers at you. And he says, "Suppose even if you did do it, there's nothing I could do about it."
If we did do it, would we be so willing to come with your friends to come and meet you, to be polite and cordial about everything?
Polite and cordial, and he spits on his floor.
Lucius glares back at Florian and Gustavus, and he's just like,
I haven't even said anything.
he says, "What would it take for us to earn your trust? To show that we're on the up and up?"
And he kind of chews on his lips for a little while. And then he says, "I could ask you to leave, and you could go. I suppose I'd have to take you at your word if you left and I never saw you again."
I mean, that wouldn't get us anywhere. It would be the ineffectual and feckless mosscaps who are trying to solve this grisly crime. And as you've noted, they aren't in a position to do such a thing.
He corrects you. He says they're in a position to do it. They just don't have the will. Why are you and your... And he kind of scoffs at the people remaining in the room. Your Flumph Inc. any better than the Mosscaps?
because we aren't beholden to the crown or any political entity. We're out for our own.
Only look out for yourselves, eh? If you were the 90th nobleman I've heard say something like that, maybe I would be surprised. You two outside of the little shack, having a smoke with these fisher wives. You can hear Captain Benjamin yelling from the inside, but with the door closed, you can't hear Lucius' response.
How are the women reacting?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Very mistrustful of the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, yeah, this is Captain Benjamin. Like, he's our cantankerous old soul. You guys are definitely the imposers here.
I am genuinely curious about your political opinions, though.
One of the fisher wives says they should all get on one of their big fancy boats and sail out to sea, and then may the gods light them on fire. I think it's a laugh out of the other one.
And Florian nods, as if they're taking mental notes.
Gus, what is your strategy? Still inside the shack.
I'm going to look over and I'm going to lay a hand on Lucius's shoulder and ask him if I can get a word in.
Will you keep a civil tongue?
I said, and I haven't said anything to this man except, hey, let me check his back out.
Captain Benjamin interrupts. Huh? Can't hear you. Speak up. You're being rude.
Ugh.
You should speak so the whole room can hear you. Didn't your mother teach you any manners?
My mother was burned to death when I was a young lad.
Good. You deserve nothing less. The sass mouth on you.
Mm.
I did have magic missile prepared, I'm just saying.
Are you going to go in and blast the 90-year-old fisherman?
Gus is thinking, like, Lucius, you can see on your face, like, you can see on Gus's face, like, Gus weighing the pros and cons of hitting this man with his hammer. Like, and he's like,
that would be an example of not holding a civil tongue.
Well,
no, it'd be
do
an
you have anything
example
to
of-
say?
Yes, sir. Listen, you want to know why you can trust us over the moss caps? The moss caps get paid regardless of whether or not they do their job. And when we don't do our jobs, we go hungry, just like you. If you don't bring in any fish, you don't eat. If we don't go catch this, we don't eat.
He sneers and he looks at Lucius. Lucius, you're dressed in a nobleman's finery, right? You dressed pretty
he's
well.
He dresses decently, like he's still got armor and stuff on.
And you
but he
both
doesn't
are
look
wearing
like-
expensive armor. He looks at Lucius and scoffs. So when's the last time you went hungry?
Perfectly honest, never.
And he spits on the floor again.
That's because I work very hard at either my studies or working with my compatriots at Flumph Inc. in order to earn what I've gotten for myself.
Never mind your overblown resume and sense of arrogance. What do you want from me?
We just want leave to investigate what happened with that murder on Flumph Hill.
He scoffs again. He says, "Leave! You want my leave, my permission. I am king of the cliff face, la-di-da. You've come to ask, and if I say no, you will go in peace and trouble me no more."
Gus kind of looks at the man and shakes his head no.
So doesn't like that answer, but some part of you senses that he at least appreciates the honesty in it.
You're considered the boss here, but you're not my boss.
And he waves then as, well, then you're going to do what you like anyway, whatever I have to say about it. So much for asking my permission.
Well, I mean, your fisherman kind of interrupted us when we were working, stopped what they were doing, walked over, started asking a bunch of questions, and then they threatened to beat us up if we didn't come see you. So
And so already you've impacted the day's catch.
no, they impacted the day's catch. They did not have to bother with us.
How long are Florian and Alex staying outside the shack?
I have no intention of re-entering this conversation hearing the old man yell.
I mean,
Yeah, Florian is chilling. He's probably
Lucius,
regaling them with
Lucius,
some weird
Lucius,
true story facts.
feel free at any point to slap Gus on the back of his head.
No,
I'm
no,
serious.
Gustavus is actually moving the way Lucius wants the conversation to go.
Seeker, you make your way south to the doctor's house. And how do you make your presence known? Knowing that the man inside is probably asleep. Nodal has abandoned us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard Seeker, but I somehow missed the rest of that sentence.
How are you
how-
making yourself known at Doc's house when you get there, knowing the man inside is likely to be asleep?
I think I'm just going to knock on the door, and then if he doesn't answer the door, I'm just going to let myself in.
After a few moments, you hear some sounds inside, and the bleary-eyed Triton opens his door. This is your second visit to see him, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you see the recognition in his face.
And I'm going to say, Doc, I'm assuming you've heard about the murder the other day?
He shakes his head a little bit, and he says it's been difficult to sleep.
We're looking into the people who did it. You know how we talked to you about the other one before, and we think we have a good line on them. But while my friends and I were investigating, I saw them get picked up by a bunch of people and brought to Captain Benjamin. Do you think you could go over there and give us a good word?
And he cranes his neck over your shoulder, and he sees Florian and Alex kind of being like ushering themselves out the door. And you see this frown crawl across Doc's face. He asks what you and your friends intend to do.
We think we know where the villains might be holing up, and we want to go look into it. And then I kind of like shrug over there. We would prefer to keep it on the down low from the moss caps. We don't want them running in and scaring everyone off.
He nods, bids you give him a few moments to dress himself.
Mm-hmm.
Lucius and Gus,
Yes.
how much further are you taking this conversation?
I mean,
I think Gustavus has pretty well laid out our intentions. Like we're doing this whether or not we have his leave, but we would consider it a favor if he did.
Make an insight check, Lucius.
Okay. That's a 12.
12?
Mm-hmm.
Talking to this man and seeing him throw his back out, try to wrap Florian's knuckles, and just the way he interrupts and berates you, he's throwing around a lot of strength that he doesn't have.
Yeah.
There's really nothing he can do to stop you from doing anything you want out here.
And Lucius's intent to leave this conversation is to leave it to where he might be placated in some fashion. Like I really have no idea where I could do to take it that direction.
Do you, Gus?
I mean, not without the. I don't have the jar, the gallon thing of mayonnaise jar anymore. So no, I got nothing.
Wow.
I was gonna offer him some booze, but I can still offer him some booze. It's like, if you let us go down there, I'll buy you some booze.
So placating Captain Benjamin does not seem to be in the cards.
Okay then.
So how do you exit the conversation? You just tell them, hey, we're going to do it anyway. Good luck, nerd.
So be it, because they want to, like, if you can't accept the fact that we're doing this to eat, and the moss caps will get to it when they get to it, then like we're probably his best chance to having a speedy resolution to this.
So you tell them that and then turn on your heel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Seeker approaches the house with the Triton, the doctor. The doctor gives some warm greetings to the two fisher wives, whom he knows. The other two of you come outside of the shack. Doc looks over the two of you, and he says...
Lucius is not happy.
Gus is smiling. He got to argue with somebody.
So in that case, Doc looks a little puzzled at the two. And then, did the conversation with Captain Benjamin go well?
No.
Nope.
It didn't. He wanted to know why we were here. We laid it out for him, and I asked him to grant us leave to do our work unmolested, and he wasn't having any of it.
Although I got the impression that was about a neutral response from that man.
Do you guys tell Doc what your goal for today is? Meaning, do you tell him you're going to bring, like, excavation tools down there to dig a hole in the cliff face in Broken Wall?
I think we need at least one person here who knows what we're up to be on our side on this.
Yeah.
I think Doc is a reasonable choice for that.
Doc and the other Triton are actually, I think, probably two of the more reliable people here in Broken Wall.
I think Doc actually took a look at Lucius's wounds a couple of days ago too. So.
Possible. Doc looks unconvinced that this digging is going to result in solving this murder, but he's willing to defer to your knowledge, you guys being the investigators. He tells you that the Mosscaps and even the Blackjackets who were here just yesterday evening showed very little concern for the situation beyond just securing the scene, doing a quick once-over, and eventually taking the body away.
Did you get a good look at the body?
One of you guys poked around inside of it.
Yeah,
I'm asking Doc if he got a good look at the body.
He did, but of course, by the time that Doc was called over to the scene, there was nothing to be done for the man, clearly. He was killed somewhere else and then brought here, was his assumption.
Were you able to tell... Would you be able to tell us anything about the manner in which he was killed from the... I understand they probably did more defacement afterwards, but...
He didn't get that close of a look. At some point or another, the Mosscaps kind of chased him away, and then he devoted his attention to... He and his sister devoted their attention to calming down the other residents of Broken Wall.
I think we should bring them in on, at least give them a little more detailed information about what we found about who we think our suspect is.
I mean, this is the...
what we were seeing, and who we think we've seen roaming around here.
Can we move into your house and talk for a minute?
He's looking at the Benjamin shack. He says, I'd better go and placate the good captain first.
Good luck with that.
Okay.
How do you do that?
He just gives a sad, knowing smile. Then, please excuse me. Steps into the shack. Are you guys what are you guys doing next? Are you making your way over to Doc's house?
I think
Gus,
While
you guys are doing that, he's like, I'm gonna go get a shovel and a like a pick and all that, and Gus is going to get like tools for that, so we don't have to waste time on that later.
Okay.
Actually, let me check something. Can I do that yet?
Should have just let him rap me on the knuckles.
That would have made him feel better, you think?
Couldn't have gone anywhere.
I mean,
No.
like,
Okay, that's third level when I can make tools out of nothing.
doesn't that take an hour though?
Yeah, it's probably about as long as it's gonna take you.
So after 15 minutes or so, Doc takes you back over to his house, and he puts some wood in his stove to stoke the fire. Puts a pan on his stove and begins preparing his breakfast. What do you all tell him? You all meaning everybody but Gus, because Gus is off buying a shovel.
I mean, I think I will tell him everything about the flying. Personally, Alex is up for telling him everything about the flying pig.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable. And then
Like, tell him all the different leads we've tracked down, tell him about all the letters, tell him about the other murder. Because I actually, at this point, Alex is starting to wonder if Doc might be, and especially his sister, might be the kind of person that is going to get one of these letters.
Neither of them have.
Okay.
And speaking to Doc, he's taking it very seriously. He doesn't understand what somebody with that sort of nature would want with this little fishing village.
They already got Drudolph the Cosmic, who, from my understanding, peddled his trade here.
We think that our suspect might be hiding out in that little cavern. We need to be able to get in.
He tells you that this kind of stuff is way above his pay grade. He doesn't really know what to do with the information. He tells you that if the moss caps come around snooping about what excavation you're doing on the cliff face, he will try to divert their attention. And of course, he has great interest in knowing what you find down there.
sounds good.
We'll bring word back to you.
And I have an idea for how the moss caps won't notice us digging. I don't think Gus is going to like it.
Drunk Gus might.
We have him put it on the hat and do it during high tide when it's underwater and no one will hear it.
I like it.
I like it too.
Not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
Gus,
That is a creative blip right there.
What?
if you do this work at low tide, when the water is down, at the end of it, you will have a level of exhaustion.
Uh-huh.
If you do the work underwater, you're going to have 2 levels of exhaustion. It's going to be much more difficult.
Can I at least like roll athletics checks to see if I don't get at least like what the second level of exhaustion?
You can roll as many dice as makes you feel better.
And have them do something?
Nope.
This
This is your decision that Alexander puts to you, but it's just the digging is going to be much more difficult underwater.
Okay, what's everybody like? Can we split the digging up?
I don't think anybody else wants to dig.
I don't have a problem digging. I won't be able to do it for very long. I'm not very strong.
Yeah, my 7
Nor I.
strength, I don't think is going to do a lot.
Yeah, Lucius is a 6th strength.
Wait, could you cast Unseen Servant underwater?
Unseen Servant has a strength of 2.
Why do none of you a-holes have like? Isn't there is literally a cantrip that would solve this problem? I think called like isn't it like Move Earth or something?
Not stone, just earth.
So the question is, so you can get this work done before low tide this evening. The question is, do you want 1 or 2 levels of exhaustion? Because he's right. If you do it underwater, there's no chance that anybody's going to notice you doing it. But it's going to be much harder work.
Let me see. Hold on. What's 2 levels of exhaustion?
It's not
It's
good.
bad. It's real bad.
All right.
It's what, half movement, disadvantage on all ability checks? Right?
Yeah, speed is halved. Gus is gonna look at you and go, "No."
Fair enough.
So what are the rest of you going to do throughout the morning? Because by afternoon, I mean, his work will be mostly done, but he'll have to leave it because high tide will have come in. And then he'll have to go back later in the afternoon, in the evening, to finish up. So how are you guys spending the rest of the day?
Go find me a magic energy drink so I'm not exhausted.
There is no such drink.
That's disappointing on so many levels.
We're gonna have to invent it.
Gus is gonna need cover in case someone comes along, right?
Yeah,
Mistake.
I feel like running interference is probably a good
So-
idea.
Yeah.
So you guys are staying in Broken Wall for the day?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess taking turns making sure Gus doesn't get in any trouble.
So let's see if we can manufacture a reason for me to dig a hole in the next session too, and that way we'll have the hat trick.
Well, you enjoyed it with Birdie so much.
I was just about to say, listen, Birdie.
I'm gonna go
You have
visit
one job.
our good friend, the Devil Hunter, the Warlock Hunter.
Because she's nearby. She's actually just on the other side of this wall here,
Yeah.
more or less. You find her not
I'm
at home.
gonna go.
The last time you spoke with her, she said she was going to look into some stuff, and then you haven't seen her since. She said that she would probably get back to you in a couple of days.
Fair enough.
That was 2 or 3 days ago, though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go to
check out-
Surefoot's tenants and see how the night went for them.
Nothing to report there either. Surefoot
Okay.
was not stabbed during the night. If you ask about the 3 boys, they've been sent back out to work at a different place today.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing bad has befallen any of them. It looks like that is a crisis-averted situation.
Alex also donated a silver to his organization.
Okay.
While he's there.
What time does the priest who is a friend of hers get to the Temple of Nimbus?
Late in the morning, after the sun's been up for a little while. She wakes up and has a big gnomish breakfast.
I'll just check in with her then and ask her if she's seen her.
Ina Harris, you mean?
Yeah.
She hasn't. Not for a day or two, she thinks.
Did she?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, did she happen to, while she was explaining some of her interest to you, mention anything that could be helpful if we had to deal with a problem like that?
You're going to be more specific about what you think would be helpful and about what the problem is.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just kind of run them down, because we told her the story of when we were attacked by that one guy who did the death touch or whatever, right?
Mhm, yeah.
So I tell her about that, and then I say we think we're finding the lair of the people who are giving out those sorts of powers. And I've never dealt with anything like this. I was just wondering if you knew anything that could be of use.
Shabilba thinks for a second, and she says what she thinks you need is, and then she describes some really helpful Artificer class features that Alexander won't have for a little while.
Okay, that sounds like something Alex should get in on. I'll be sure to describe it to him in such detail that he'll get it in a couple of levels.
Yeah, she tells you to get good now.
Yeah.
But she does show great interest in knowing what your investigation uncovers, because this murder, I mean, you can tell the murder is kind of shaking her a little bit, happening so close.
I hope we'll have good news for you soon.
Lucius, what are you doing throughout the day? Standing watch over Gus as he works?
I think that's what he said he was going to do. But
Okay, I'm just confirming. And Florian, same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
it's just,
Yeah, sorry,
they're just
I had to
standing.
talk to Simon for a sec. I'm sorry.
Are the two? Wait, let me get this right though. You two assholes are standing there going, "Yep, look at him dig."
It's pretty good.
I mean,
What do you want from us?
One of you can.
specific,
Gus-
the specific goal is to run interference to make sure you don't get bothered. But
Yeah.
if that's your interpretation of it, Florian accepts that.
If wow. The general disposition of the people of Broken Wall. None of them do interfere with you. It looks like some of them have at least an inkling of what's going on. You hear some mutterings and some gossip about how you were the ones that came and bothered Captain Benjamin this morning. Somebody heard that one of you broke his back.
That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds like us.
They have some disparaging comments about your fancy armor and all the weapons, and I'll bet they're just going to dig a sinkhole under our houses because that's what we need at this point. But no, nobody actually interferes with you or the work. And then getting on into early evening, Gus, you finish up, and you're able to squeeze through this hole now. And after you squeeze 4 or 5 feet, it widens out a little bit, so you have to go in still kind of hunched over. But you're thinking any hole that you can fit through, all of your companions fit through as well. And you take 1 level of exhaustion for all the hard work. And Florian accepts that you think he should do some of the work.
You're welcome.
Like, Gus starts climbing out of the hell. He's like, and like you hear like you guys, the two of you hear like the tail end of a rant. Like, all I'm saying is Dragonpowder. Next time.
And as Alex gets back, he's bringing a nice frothy glass of ale for you. I guess it'd be in like a jug, since glasses would be expensive.
Not for nothing, but I do have a line or two here about what Captain Benjamin would have done if you told him, hey, we need to put some dragon powder down and to blow the cliff open.
That sounds like something we might have done, except we probably wouldn't have told anyone.
Which is why I better have something ready.
Oh, doing that underwater would have been a good idea, though.
Seeker also had a glass of ale, but the second he sees Alex coming back with one, he just dumps it out in a corner.
So
one is enough for Gus.
So about this time yesterday is when you guys were staking out Broken Wall. So the body was placed yesterday about this time. And the tide is as low as it's going to get in about 6 hours' time, though. How far into the cave did Gus go?
Not far. Why? Just far enough to where it widened out, and then he got up, turned around, and came back out.
Okay. Then I'm going to get the dungeon map back out here. And you guys have about 6 hours before every inch you've seen of this cave so far is going to be underwater. I'm going to take 2 seconds and run to my fridge and get a fizzy drink. And let me just make a quick note here of how many people in Broken Wall hate all of you.
I'm writing down, taking a long rest in cave.
Yeah, scratch that one off the list.
You have the +1 to your armor class, right, Gus?
Yeah, that's what you gave me, unless you took it away.
Nope.
So I've got a level of exhaustion. When it says ability checks, that's like everything, right?
Saves
It's
aren't
like
checks.
strength checks. Yeah, strength checks.
So it'd be any ability,
What about attacks?
No,
attacks aren't
not
checks.
attacks.
Attacks and saves are not checks.
Destil, you're a robot, right?
Yeah.
If an action is 6 seconds and you guys have a 6-hour time limit, how many actions should I allow you to take before I drown you?
What is it, 24,000?
So you guys have 24,000 actions. Action number 1, go.
So this is like a net hack situation now.
So yeah, you guys crawl through the little hole, and you come south a little bit. Right about here is where the empty torch sconce is. This place is dark. There's no light, and there's no sunlight at this point either.
Once everyone else is underground, I'm going to give everyone one of these stone coins we took off Drudalf, and I'm going to infuse all of them with magical light. Just keep it in your pocket for now, but if you need to see.
Okay.
Would the one that you threw in the water earlier still have its...
No, as soon as I do that, there's 2 that used to have Drudolf's picture on them, those fade. Okay. I can have 5 active at once, so.
Okay.
You all squeezed through the tunnel that Gus made. Gus, nobody said thank you for the tunnel.
Alex did. He gave me some beer.
Nobody but
Yeah,
Alex said thank you for the tunnel.
Right, and that's why
Seeker
Alex
said thank you with only words.
Yeah, the first room, the cave widens out, and this looks like a natural cave. It's about ankle deep water that you're trudging through. It's only going to get deeper with time. And what's next?
Lucius is not going first because he does not.
Seeker's good back here.
And Seeker, you
I mean,
said
Alex
taking a
will go
long
first,
rest
but
in
I'm
here would be a
assuming
good
Gus
idea.
wants to, given that he has
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be
melee
great.
weapons.
Okay, crosstalk, guys.
Gus is going first.
Yeah.
All right. And Florian is staying outside. That's the smart move. What's next? These are 5-foot squares, by the way.
Yep.
Gus, you have
Gus,
dark?
stop.
Yes, I have dark vision.
Okay.
See, that's what we're waiting.
Gus. I don't need any check from you. You step out, trudging through the water, and you take a step in a place where the water is much deeper than you thought it was going to be. And you immediately sink beneath the water. And all about your legs and your lower torso, what feels like seaweed or kelp is lashing around your legs and torso, dragging you down. Doesn't drag you down far, maybe 6 or 7 feet or so before your feet touch solid ground again. But you're underwater and you're not able to move very well. And Alex, you just see Gus take a step forward and sink in what looks like ankle-deep water.
Mm-hmm.
I'll fish my coin out of my pocket and drop it on top of Gus.
And that happens.
Like toss it from where I am.
Gus, a lit coin bounces on your head, drifts
Gus
down,
looks-
and lands at your feet.
Gus is down there trying to cut the seaweed with his hand axe. Is it binding me at all?
Make a strength athletics check.
All right.